Ramayana, Chapter 18, To the Forest, read by Nirvan Bajaj and Ekveer Bajaj. Ramayana, Chapter 18, To the Forest. After Ram left his father's presence with these words, the stricken king lay prostrated in speechless sorrow, and it was some time before he could muster his faculties sufficiently even to think. When he recovered some strength, he muttered half unconsciously, "Surely I must in a previous birth have inflicted some hideous suffering to loving children. Must have torn calves from their mothers, children from their parents, husbands from their wives. How else could I suffer thus? And death does not come when we want it, and I have to endure the torture of having before my mind's eyes my godlike son deprived of his birthright and forced into the bark garments of a hermit. O life, how bitterly you cling to those who would be rid of you. Ram has gone into exile, and yet I do not die. Ram, Ram, have you gone?" A little later, his mind clearer, the king said, "Sumantra, get ready for the chariot and take my sons and Janaki to the frontier of the kingdom." Lakshman touched the feet of his mother Sumitra and uttered the single word, "Mother." She embraced him, kissed his head and said, Your devotion to your brother was filled with your mother's heart with pride and joy. It is your duty, child, to guard and serve Ram. Always stand in vigilant watch by Ram's side in the forest. Your elder brother is to you both preceptor and king. This is the dharma of your race. Go with my blessings, Lakshman. In the forest, regard Ram as your father, and look upon Janaki as myself, and the forest will be to you as Ayodhya. Go cheerfully, my dear son, and may God bless you. In the Ramayana, Sumitra is a woman of few words and mature wisdom and great tact and infinite courage, full of faith in whom hope shines like a flame when it has gone out in all others. The tradition is that Sumitra knew Ram's divinity and the purpose of his incarnation, and that this enabled her not only to comfort Kaushalya, but to see a holy ministration in Lakshman sharing Ram's exiles. Sumitra said, "Ascend the chariot, O prince. May God bless you. Tell me where I am to drive, for the 14-year period has begun. My prince." Sita got up the chariot cheerfully. Kaushalya had made up her a packet of personal requirements. The shield, bows and arrows and other weapons of the two brothers, together with pickaxes and baskets, were placed in the chariot. Pickaxes and baskets are essential in the forest. Ram and Lakshman ascended the chariot and Sumantra drove it forward. Let us pause a while at this stage when Ram's forest life begins and pray that we may be purified of our sins. Truth, courage and love is the gospel of the Ramayana to us. To give it to us Ram born, we shall gain these gifts if we meditate on the princes and Janaki in the bark habiliments as they left the city. The crowd in the street cried to the charioteer, Go slow, let us have a look at Ram's face." Alas, who could send such children to the forest? How could their mothers endure the sorrow and survive? Look at Vedi's face. She is indeed blessed, and Lakshman is happy to have such a brother to whom he can give devoted service. He is indeed a hero and knower of dharma. So the people of the city talked among themselves as they followed the chariot, and the grief swelled like a flood. The king stepped out of Kaikeyi's apartment and looked at the departing chariot. A long time he stood there watching the cloud of dust as though he saw in it the beloved form of Ram. When even this went out of sight, he fell down mourning. Kaushalya and Kaikeyi sat on either side. "Do not touch me," he said Dashrath to Kaikeyi. "I hate the sight of you, sinful woman. Everything is at an end between you and me. I renounce you here and now." "If Bharat agrees to your arrangements and accepts this kingdom," he said again, "he need not perform my obsequies, and even if he did, my departed spirit would reject his offering of waters. How can Ram live in the forest? Will he sleep on the bare ground with a stone or a loaf for a pillow? Will he eat fruits and berries?" Thus the king went on lamenting helplessly. Sometimes he would turn to Kikeyi and said, "May you be happy in your success. Long may you live a happy widow." Heartbroken and empty like one returning home from the cremation ground, he entered Kekai's apartment by force of habit. Then suddenly he said, "Not here. Take me to the dwelling of Kausalya." And so they did. There he lay waiting for his end. At midnight he said, "Kausalya, are you there? Touch me with your hand. My sight is gone with Ram." Poor Kausalya did her best to comfort the king. But what comfort was there in her wounded heart to give? For as the slow, sorrow-laden hours crawled from watch to watch, the cold night seemed to her as a devouring flame, and the gentle moon fierce as the noonday sun. The people of the city followed Ram's chariot in a huge crowd. Meanwhile, Sumitra comforted Kausalya with soothing words. The crowd tried to stop the chariot, shouting,
"Do not go to the forest. Return to the city."
"I am going to the forest to uphold my father's word," Ram said. "There is no theme for sorrow here, and you should not seek to hinder me." But the crowds would not listen to him and went in crowds after him, shouting wildly, "Do not go to the forest! Do not go to the forest!" Ram stopped the chariot and addressed them with his eyes full of love for them. "Citizens of Ayodhya, I know the love you bear for me. You will show it best by transferring it on my behalf and at my behest to my beloved brother Bharat. Nothing else will please me more. Bharat is a good and noble and has all royal qualities and is full worthy of love. So conduct yourselves as to please him. Young in years, he is old in wisdom, and his heart is at once heroic and tender. He has the strength to protect you. He is your king, and you owe him loyalty and affection. I am going to the forest to fulfill my father's word, and the king has appointed Bharat as Yuvraj. He is in every way fitted for that position. You and I alike should obey the king's commands. You should go back and try to mitigate the sorrow of my father at parting from me." Thus Ram spoke to them in kindly tones, but they loved him all the more because of this and would not be consoled. Some Brahmins, old in years and excellent in virtue, looking at the chariot, wept and cried, "Why, O heroes, do you carry our Ram into the forest? We have heard it said that horses are sharp of hearing. Listen to us then. Bring back our Ram." Hearing these words of hearing from old Brahmins, Ram stopped the chariot. The three descended from it and went forward, walking. The common people, leading citizens and wise elders, men of penance, why, even the birds on wings tried to prevent Ram from going to the forest. The river Tamas, said to the poet, seemed to conspire with them, for now it flowed across his path. The chariot stopped on the river bank. Sumantra unyoked and watered the horses and let them loose to graze. Ram said, "Lakshman, this is the first night of our forest life. Let us spend it on the bank of this holy river. Life in the forest holds no hardship, as you and I know. Look, the birds, the animals, and even the trees seem to sympathize with us. The only pain is when we think of the grief of our parents in Ayodhya, though I feel reassured as I think of Bharat's nobility and goodness. He will assuredly tend our parents with true affection. Sumantra, go, look after the horses." Then Ram offered the evening praise by the river and said, "Let us fast on this first night of our forest life, Lakshman. Your presence by my side rids me of all care." Lakshman spread some grass on the ground for Ram and Sita to sleep, but he himself spent the night in vigil talking with Sumantra. Long before dawn, Ram rose from sleep and told Sumantra, "The citizens who have followed us, fatigued by their long journey, are fast asleep. I am deeply moved by their affection, but I cannot permit their love to force me to go back. Let us therefore move on, even now while they are yet asleep." The horses were harnessed and the chariot slowly crossed the river. Standing on the southern bank, Ram told Sumantra, "If you take the chariot to the other shore where the people are asleep and drive it for a little distance towards Ayodhya and then bring it back to this side, we can proceed in our journey before they wake up. They will see the track of the chariot going towards the city and thinking that we have returned home, may themselves go back. Unless you do this, the crowd will go following on." Sumantra did this, and when the chariot returned, the three got into it again and proceeded southwards. Stay tuned for Ramayana chapter 19, Alone by Themselves. Please subscribe to this channel, like, share and comment on this video. Thank you and Namaste.